when I hurt sometimes, he takes away that pain.
What's up, family? Thornetta Davis, Detroit's Queen of the Blues here. And I want to invite you down the night before Thanksgiving to the Detroit Distillery's Whiskey Factory. This is an annual event. We're going to bring you whiskey, we're going to bring you blues, we're going to have a good time. You got to get your tickets early though, because last year we sold out.
Said I'd given up on love.
Black revolutionaries, distillery owners, Italian fashion retailers, and Motown Grammy winners all share their best stories never before told in any other media outlets on Detroit is Different. Visit DetroitisDifferent.com or download the Detroit is Different app on Apple's App Store or Google's Play Store.
All right, we are back in full effect at the Detroit is Different podcast studios, and I'm always talking about different people that are special, different people that are cool, different people that are important and add to the culture of Detroit. And no one adds to the culture of Detroit like I know, like this lady here, and also her better half. We got Jam and Thornetta in full effect in the Detroit is Different podcast studios. How are you guys today?
I'm doing
good, man.
Doing really good. Huh?
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Almost on the same tone, Jam cool as always. You hear it. It's almost like I'm about to have him do like a night quiet store mix or something.
Don't get him started, he'll do it.
Yeah, no, this is my inside voice, you know.
All right, so if you don't know, this is the Queen of Blues for Detroit, but a songstress, vocalist, artist, a creative. When we think about culture in Detroit and the Detroit story, she's been on Detroit is Different before.
Yep.
But this time along, she brought when we generally talk business or anything creative, Jam's with her too. And Jam is in full effect today too. Jam, a heck of a percussionist. Yep. Almost like all the people that I think are real cool and I look at and say, man, how do you know this guy? They have stories with Jam. And that goes for Jallo. Right. It goes for Mahindi.
Oh, boy.
It definitely goes for Ross Kente.
Yeah, all my heroes.
Jam's got a lot of good stories. I told him one day he should do a movie about his life.
Yes, and he remembers a lot of different things and how things intersect with culture and people. Blackman, who I think is when I generally ask people the question, so you all will know this question. If you can name a street if you could rename Woodward after any person, who would it be and why? And I think Blackman is... Not just because it's Black man.
Yeah. No. Like, I understand it. It's
like an intersection of everything Detroit. He's one of the few people that he could say anything and you'd be like, I believe that.
Yeah.
From I was hanging out with Madonna to my mom was like the first person to, win the lottery and lost the ticket, or like any story he was willing to give. I'd be like, okay, I believe it.
No, Blackman is special. He had a lot to do with us even being together. So Blackman has touched a whole lot of people's lives, man.
I remember that story. He said he was DJing a set.
Yeah.
He said he was DJing a set, and Thornetta finished performing somewhere.
Yeah. And he said, come on by where he was DJing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was by myself. I went down there and I was by myself that night. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you were by yourself.
And James happened to be there with his cousin from Cleveland.
But I think Blackman operates on a whole nother level of creativity and spiritualism.
Mm-hmm.
So my cousin was up for a casino trip from Cleveland, and it's like a day trip, and he decided he wanted to see what Detroit was doing, and he just wanted to get out of the casino. So I'm like, come on with me, and we go by the art gallery where Blackman is spinning, So we had to be buzzed in. So Blackman comes to the door, and he say, hey, Jam, what's up? And I'm like, yeah, it's all good. And he say, I see you brought your cousin with you.
Mm-hmm.
He never seen my cousin before. He never met my cousin. How did he know that was my cousin. Maybe it's ancient resemblance somewhere in the DNA, but he picked it up in a second.
Before you even introduced him.
And yeah, before I even introduced him. And so my cousin and I looking dumbfounded, like, how did he know? So he's operating on a whole nother frequency than, normal people.
And definitely when we think about intersecting different people, because he tells that story. He tells that story at a party, and you all dancing the night away, meeting, and not disconnecting since.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, he's telling that story.
It had got to the point where we would come there and party with him on Fridays, and then he would play as long as we were there. But
one time we went to another room, another art gallery, another room or a room in his gallery, and we didn't know that the place is getting ready to shut down. We were the last people there. We were just talking. It was early in our relationship. We were just getting to know each other. And Blackman go, "Hey, yo, we closed."
That's
like, "Oh, for real?"
That's a good impersonation.
We just sitting there
too.
talking. We having a good time.
That's
man.
a good impersonation too. Hey,
Right.
we
Hey, yo, we closed.
So, it's like, does that mean I have to leave? Or?
Right.
Yeah.
So when we think about that, music has taken you all across the world.
Yeah.
And recently, especially like in the last couple months, touching so much of the world.
Oh, yeah.
With the Detroit flair, with the Detroit style. You told the story not too long ago when we did the commercial for the upcoming show about what it was like just bringing that Detroit blues to a blues festival. Tell the story for the people.
Well, I think it's when you think blues, most of the people think that Chicago or the southern states is where blues resonates from. They don't really think about Detroit being a place where blues is known, but there's a lot of famous blues artists. Johnny Hooker came from Detroit, and I think Son House ended up living there for some while. And then you got Sippy Wallace and Alberta Adams, Johnny Bassett. All the people that influenced me were from Detroit. So people don't normally hear that Detroit has blues, so they think Motown. So it's my mission to prove that Detroit has roots with blues also. I mean, when people come up from down south, there were musicians who came to Detroit first and then went their way to Chicago. But Detroit was the first stop, And so that's what my mission is, to show that we got blues here in Detroit.
And internationally, and on large, I guess, platforms where blues is, as an independent artist, you are getting a lot of shine.
Yeah. I do believe that it has a lot to do with the fact that my city has backed me for so long. And then when they made me Detroit's Queen of the Blues, that puts me at another level to the rest of the blues world, where it would think, wow, they must really respect this woman to make her the queen of their city, And so when they announced me, give it up for Detroit's Queen of the Blues, it's a big deal for the people over in Europe. They were like, we have a queen, even though the most of the blues world wouldn't see me as the queen of all the blues, but just to know that I'm somebody's queen and they gave me the title means a lot to them.
And that was a unique event too.
Yeah.
That was a fun event to go to as well. My godmom, Joanne Watson, came out for it as well.
Yes.
So she was like, oh, because I remember it was earlier that day with my aunt Helen Love. Loves your stuff too.
I love her too.
And we earlier in the day, she was like, we're gonna go see Joanne preach. And so then she walked over to us. She was like, what are you guys going to do later? Joanne Watson. And I was like, well, Thornetta is going to get this honor. She's like, I'm coming. So I looked up and she was there.
Yeah.
And the whole ceremony, everyone that was there, the passing of the torch, and a lot of blues.
Yes.
It's like a society, a culture within itself. Like I used to think Detroit hip hop was in this same vein, and that's why I feel Detroit is different. It's so many subsets and so many different cultural breakdowns where you'll feel like, man, it's a whole world of this that just on so many levels, and blues has that.
Yes, it does. I know my girlfriend Nikki James produced that whole awards show. It was Blues Girls of Summer, and I think that was the second Blues Girls of Summer that she had produced. And she goes, we have to do the crowning at the Blues Girls of Summer. And I was like, wow, that sounds perfect. And she says, and the girls will be the what is she called?
What, ladies in waiting?
No.
Ladies in waiting, is that what it is? No.
I can't remember what she called them, but it was just
debutantes or something.
No. Well, anyway, the fact that they have all the other blues queens there, that helped honor me. That was just so cool.
It was really cool.
The court is what I want to say.
Queen's
the
Court.
girls will be their court.
It was really cool and classic. It was some gumbo there.
Yes.
It was hot as ever because it was in the summer.
Yeah. August.
And fun. Another fun event. Luther Keith was in there.
Yeah.
And you just bump into a different side of Detroit culture when it comes to bumping into these different blues events.
Yes.
You know, cool stories and different players. And we've had this discussion before when people go back through the archives of Detroit is Different, and now with other interviews and podcasts popping up about Detroit music, let's talk a little bit about the direction of Detroit music in other places. How are other people receiving your brand of music and style?
Oh, we get well response, standing ovations. I think the fact that we're from Detroit is always bringing the attention to our music. People say when you hear the word Detroit, they expect something good coming, and that's everywhere we go. They don't know what it's going to be. Some people say I didn't really like blues until I heard yours. They figured just because I'm from Detroit, something good is coming, so we're gonna check her out. We went out to Denver early part of the year.
Yeah,
and they had a whole Detroit week.
Yeah, now I thought that was really cool and supportive of them. Oh, I'm just trying to remember the name of the place. I can't remember the name, but
it was Dazzles in Denver. And that week they had Dave McMurray.
Oh, okay.
They had John Sinclair, who was there the same day we were, and they had a couple other
James Carter.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like a mix of R&B, blues,
each night,
jazz.
Yes.
Yeah. And to come to find out, one of the owners was from Detroit.
Okay.
And he wanted to bring the folks that he loved from his own hometown to perform at his own club. And it was beautiful. It was so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I say they should do that here in Detroit.
Yeah,
Detroit.
Just have a deal.
Ain't that something? Yeah. So with that, and on this mission, it's also a mission of love because the both of you all travel together, play together, work together. What is that like to experience so much of the artistry and culture together while being with the one you love?
Okay, why y'all looking at me?
Cause I want to see what you gonna say.
Oh yeah, you know, let's there's a lot of levels to this. Of course, there's the fact that we are married and we support each other, but there's a creative side to this, that and a spiritual side to it. And the creative side is the music and the outlet that it created for Thornetta to create these songs and the music and things. And then the spiritual side is part of our uniting and the many blessings that it took for us to not only get married and to have a wedding. And we realized that what much is given, much is expected. And we've been trying to push this music, which has messages of love, unity, spirituality. It has that in it. And it's heavy laden with message. These are songs from the heart. And that spirituality, along with the dancing and the singing and to make you feel good. I mean, she's got songs to help you bust out of your constrictions, be it a bad relationship, be it internal fears that you may have and the unknown, and her learning about herself and how to manage your business and things.
I want him to answer the question that you asked.
Yeah.
Ask the question again.
The question in it. And I believe he was probably gonna get to that. We know Jam.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's a lot of levels to this.
The question is, what is this experience like being with the one you love? Experiencing traveling the world in artistry, creativity, and business, and building that bond. What's that experience like?
Now, the building. I'm watching all of this unfold, and it may affect me more than how it's happening to her. I've seen some of these songs get written, and then I've seen some people cry from hearing the songs. And I've seen the whole process. I've seen the recording of these songs, and I see the power in these songs. But when it comes to us as a relationship, it's a beautiful thing for us to be able to travel together and to witness these blessings and dreams come true together. We have more victories than we do losses. Yeah. And we're still winning, but we're still in the game. We still roll up our sleeves and go to work. A lot of times people think we're on vacation, you know, because we go into these places, but it's work. And
thing is, we're not young. You know, if we could have done this 30 years ago, it'd be something to really be jumping up and down. But I'm older now. He's older now, and we're being set out here, you know, doing things that younger people do, traveling all over the world all the time.
Yeah, it's a young person's game.
I said, it's a young person's profession.
Profession, yeah.
But I'm enjoying the fact that I'm doing what I love to do with the man that I love, and I believe God gave James to me. You know, gave us to each other.
Yeah, and
that's all I ever wanted throughout my whole life, is to have somebody to share my life with. And God gave him to me when I turned 40.
And I think that is so cool because of that. And I look at, you know, when I think of what happens in the career of a creative, of an artist, and what blossoms. And you planted so many seeds, both of you, early on in artistry, that now a lot of those seeds are coming to fruition. Even the way you all work with me, as I'm getting better with what I'm working on and what I'm doing, and I can't wait to, like, okay, it's gonna get bigger and it's gonna get better for Thornetta. It's gonna get bigger and it's gonna get better for Thornetta. And I know that's just not me. It's everyone you guys are touching. Just having an opportunity and offering to share the talent, the skill, the experience. It's amazing.
But you play a good part in that too,
you
because
we inspire us too.
Yes, you do. I mean, it's amazing what you do, and we see that. And
I'm amazed by a lot of young people who are going for their dreams, and you're one of them. You know, especially here in the city of Detroit. When I was coming up, we had to wait for a record label or somebody to do it for us. And if you didn't get somebody to do it for you, then you just was a talent unheard. And the young people and how they operate nowadays and get into the social media and promote themselves inspire me to stay on the grind like that. You know?
Yeah.
I meet so many artists who I've come up with who don't do the social media, who don't do Facebook, and they're just as talented, or even more so talented, but they don't feel like going through all the things it takes to promote themselves. They want it. They want the attention. They want to perform more. They want to do whatever it takes to do it, but they don't want to do the stuff that it takes to get there. And sometimes I'm like, I don't feel like going online, but I got to. These are the things that come with the territory. So I'm inspired by folks who do it. I look at all of y'all pages and your websites and your podcasts, and I'm like, stay on that grind, Thornetta. And it's working.
Yeah, and I'm glad I can have like a piece into that. Like you, like some of the coolest people and most talented people, I think, are like people closest to me. Definitely. God bless and God rest Mama Barnes.
Yes.
But I look at you, I look at Amp Fiddler, and I think to myself, like, man, this is just like so cool and so creative. Especially your brand of blues, because it encompasses other elements, and a lot of those other elements that I really tie into deal with Jam himself. Like the percussion itself accents things differently.
He brings the African to my music.
Yeah, I'm there for the dance floor, man.
Okay, so leading up to this, because I never got the chance to introduce this to the Detroit is Different audience, what's your tie-in? What's your history with blues music? And did you ever think that through percussion you would be here offering that talent into blues?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. Because I've always, my mother listened to blues and my father listened to jazz, and as I come up, we were listening to Motown and funk and things like that. But I started listening to blues because of my mother, and then here it was Christmas of 1996. My mother gave me as a Christmas gift a harmonica. And told me that I was going to be a blues man.
In what year?
96.
So 96 wasn't as long ago, but it wasn't that long ago. It was you were already in the other instruments.
Yeah, I was going to say at that time I was knee deep in the funk, man. I mean alternative funk, heavy metal funk, ghetto metal, whatever you want to call it. I watched hip hop develop into a more band and music oriented. And that's what a lot of the Detroit bands were doing at that time, and blues wasn't even a thought for me. But as things unfolded, I do see that not only blues as a music, it's our heritage, our culture, and our inheritance. If there's one thing that our ancestors gave to us, it was the blues. And through these blues, if we treat it right, it can take us to places we've never been. And I realize and respect this. I got into the blues by watching Thornetta and the Chisel Brothers and so on. And then the high point for me was I was able to go along with the Detroit Blues All-Stars, which was Thornetta, Johnny Bassett, and Terry Thunder, along with Joe Weaver, along with R.J. Spangler and his group, Paul Carey, there's so many in this group, and they went to the Lucerne Blues Festival in Lucerne, Switzerland. And I was able to go along through some unique events that led up to that. I believe RJ put this package together and sold it to them, but we stayed in a 5-star hotel, one of the finest in the world.
Kings and queens stayed there.
Yes. And so after one of those all-night flights, getting to Lucerne, and we get to our room, beautiful rooms, beautiful hotel, and we unpack. And so Thorn is taking a nap. So I decided to take a walk around the hotel just to see what's going on, because I'm fascinated with Lucerne has a natural beauty. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I go down as the festival organizers meeting is being concluded. And as I come down there, they invite me over to have some rare cognac. I'm seeing they sitting there after the meeting with rare cognac and Cuban cigars. Mm-hmm. So I sit right in the middle of them, and they hand me a cognac and a Cuban cigar. So I haven't been here not even an hour yet, and yet I'm sitting here in a 5-star hotel drinking rare cognac, smoking a Cuban cigar, and it hits me like, this is the blues. Mm-hmm. This is blues heaven. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting in a spot that there are blues players that never get to see this. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was a blessing too. And it opened my eyes to the power of the blues, and of course on that blues show they had some of the greatest. They're gone now: James Cotton, mm-hmm. Charlie Musselwhite. Yeah, he's still here.
Slappy.
Oh no, yeah, I know you're talking about. No, I'm talking about the guy that played the violin and the keyboards and the guitar. Gatemouth Brown. Oh my God, yeah. I'm sitting at the dinner table with all of these people, the greatest that ever played the blues. Oh, and but that I'm just saying to answer your question, that moment let me see how great this could be. Whether this is not a fad, this is the real deal.
He came upstairs and was like, "Hey, Thornetta, hey, the blues is all right."
Yeah.
Did you go into the song?
Yeah, right. The blues is all right. I saw it with my own. I saw it. I tasted it. The blues is all right.
Blues is all right. Mm-hmm. And just percussion has a different feel, as you said, back to our African rhythms. And you know, mm-hmm. another one of my favorite big homies is Butch.
Butch Smalls. Yeah.
So one of the days, like I was like, let me go through all the stuff he's played on, because he just forgets everything he's played on. And I'm like, you played on all this stuff? Mm-hmm. You know, and then seeing him live with all these different instruments and stuff like that with percussion, I'm like, wow, it's like adding so many accents. And that's still what's even different about your show. Like sometimes you're thinking like, can you hear jam? Can you not hear jam? But you hear it. But it's like in a rhythm, and it's keeping a pace and like keeping, as you say, keeping the dancing going, but keeping the body moving and keeping the spirit of it. So having that feel like a Butch, like having that essence of African and funk, and adding that to the blues, like what's your approach? Like what creatively, like is it just one of those things? Because you know, a lot of people think it's just like, is that guy just slapping stuff?
Yeah. Well, I'm still learning, of course, but what I find is the drummer has the beat, so that means that I can do the rhythm. You know, it's kind of like if you had two guitar players, you got a lead guitar player, which let's say that's represent the beat, and then you have a rhythm guitar player, but. Of course, whatever Thornetta hears and whatever she like, cause she tells me a lot of times, come on, bring it, you know.
I'm owning, cause I'm like, look, you wouldn't be in my band if I didn't think you could do it. Yeah. I don't care if you're my husband or not.
Right. Yeah.
But the fact is, I'm thankful that I do have a husband who's a musician also, and we could travel together and do things. A lot of the times, the audience where we go, they see him as the exotic part of the band, because he's bringing African, you know. Yeah. So you'll see a bunch of women over there dancing on his side of the audience.
That's when I know it's working.
Like he's the African guy.
You have like the shakers.
Yeah.
And then for you adding that in, what's it like for you feeling that in blues, because that's different.
Well, you know that there used to be back in the day. I mean, B.B. King had percussions in his blues band for a while too. Who else? You named a couple of people.
I'm trying to think. outside of B.B. King, I know
Mhm.
James Brown, of course, but he
Yeah.
was rhythm and blues. But
Yeah.
back in the 70s, conga players in the band was
regular.
Regular, yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess with the advent of drum machines and 808s, I guess you don't need percussionists.
Well, the thing is, too, a lot of the blues music being played now is mostly white folks playing the blues, so they don't normally think about adding African drums to their
Right.
music. But you know,
let's go back in the early days of the blues. You had guys playing washboards,
yeah, That's a percussion.
jugs, blowing in jugs, washboards, and it was really a percussive sound. Hand claps like John Lee Hooker. When he starts off his music, you hear foot tap.
Yeah, I was gonna say the foot. Yeah.
That starts it off, and hand claps and foot patting and finger popping. All of that's percussion, you know.
And the roots really of blues, as it was funny when you say like tying through somebody that recognizes the rhythm in it. But like Keith Richards one day in an interview was saying, like, you know, you get older and you have a better appreciation for the blues.
Yeah.
And
That's what it is.
And I tie into that because it's like the roots of what that spiritual journey as us being here through enslavement. I think it kind of goes through the gospel and through blues. And like that's kind of the intersection of what I guess they would say the old Negro spiritual.
Yes.
Come
blues
right
was
from
born
one
out of
or the both. It's like the gospel and the blues are kind of like the balance, and then from those trees come rock and roll, R&B, funk, hip hop, jazz. Almost everything else kind of falls in those different trees right there.
Yeah, like you say, it's a branch off of the Willie Dixon said, blues is at the roots and everything else is the fruits, you know.
Yeah.
And even like you say, R&B and hip hop is just a branch off the blues tree, you know. But it's deeply rooted in African culture, and I just come across this 1619 project by the New York Times. But what I realized, and this has happened within the past couple of months this year, that I realized that the only time that under enslavement and oppression that you can feel free is when you playing music. Because now you free to play whatever it is you want to play, say whatever you want to say, sing it however you want to sing it, and that was the only freedom you had, you know, and they celebrated that freedom, and so now the slave owner would say, you got to watch it. You know, he let them jump up and down on maybe Saturday night, let them dance and sing, and they get to performing and being free, and you see this, you know. And of course there's work songs. Of course there's songs about, oh, woe is me, you know. But there's songs about, oh, up the road I'm going. You know, there's so many things that blues did in order. It was therapy. It was
actually born out of the oppression of the slaves.
Yeah,
the oppression of a people who had nothing else, and it was the only way they could relieve that pain and that oppression is to sing. And we were never really owned the music. We created it.
Right.
And with that comes your brand that you bring to the blues, because like you've even said before in interviews, it's like, you know, people won't come and, you know, you're not going to leave crying.
Right.
It's uplifting, especially with the last album. Your last project is it's inspirational. It's not like a dime-trodden, you know,
right.
I hate the world.
It's got songs in there to let
right.
you know that, yes, I've been through some pain, but I can overcome it. I have overcome it. And here's why I am right now, you know, I'm believing that God brings us through our pains. We all have them. We all go through it. We all live through the blues. You just got to remember that in the end, trouble don't last always. You know, and all these cliches, everything will be all right. and that's the only thing that got me up out of my blues,
Mhm. And as we also extend from our last interview, as we touched on in our last interview, but at that point she was just your daughter. But now your daughter
Yeah.
has extended to the granddaughter.
Yes. I'm a grandmama.
Mm-hmm.
My little granddaughter, Ava.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm sure we'll be partying it up for the holidays with you.
Yeah, they're coming all the way up from down south to visit grandmama.
Mm-hmm.
I done been down there a couple of times since she's been born. She's only 6 months old, so but I can't wait to put my arms around her again. And
are you in your writing process? Are you going to be writing about that experience? Is that adding to what's moving in your pen for your next project? Because I can only imagine that are you going to add an accent?
I hope so. I'm one of those writers who don't get inspired like everybody else does. Every day they write a song. Mm-hmm. It's work for me, and I don't want it to be work. Mm-hmm. I want the song just to come through me. Most of the songs, basically all of the songs on Honest Woman did that. That's why it took 20 years for me to finish the album, because I would just write it when it came to me, and it immediately comes through me. I put it down and then I sing it. Mm-hmm. And I haven't had that muse happen to me in the last several years since the album has been out. I had one song I just wrote a couple of weeks ago, and James likes it. Mm-hmm. It's called.
It's a hit, man. It's a hit.
Mm-hmm.
We just trying.
I'm not gonna say anything yet.
She's just don't spill it.
I'm not gonna say it yet. It's the one song, so I'm hoping that I will be inspired to do even more, so I can get the next record out. Because I got folks coming at me like they did the last 20 years. When you gonna have a record? When you gonna have? They did that to me for 20 years, and my answer was the same one I'm giving right now. When God sees it fit.
Okay.
I've been doing my career for 30 years now.
Yeah, I just wanted to say she's a great singer, but I think she's becoming a great writer and producer, and that's one of the things that that Honest Woman gave her.
It gave me the ability to know that I can produce a record. I can pull together musicians and relay the ideas I have in my head, because I thought because I couldn't play an instrument that I couldn't get what I hear in my head to come to the musician and let them know. And it's just about talking, singing it out.
But you have a heck of a band too.
Yes.
So
on the record, I had Brett Lucas on the guitar for most of it. And then I had Larry McCrae, who also played guitar on one of the songs, and the late great Mr. Paul Carey played guitar on one of the songs. So I had a whole plethora of wonderful Detroit artists who played on this record. This record was so important for me to make it a Detroit musician record, And some of them are gone. Like I said, Paul is gone now. And Marcus Belgrave is gone now. So, and they all just blessed this CD. So I feel like it couldn't do anything bad.
Patty Charleston. What's Patty's last name?
Patty Charleston.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
My girlfriends, Rosemary Matthews, sang on it. I grew up singing with them, and their sister Patty also came along on Sister Friends. So, and all of the other wonderful women who had gave their gift to helping me sing Sister Friends indeed. So that album was blessed.
Yeah, it's a pure Detroit album. I always say it's close to 100 people on that album. And some of it was even recorded in the historic United Sound. And
we're still trying to figure out ways to give it more feet so that it can reach other parts of the world. I want my album to do like Six Toes album did. What's the name?
Oh yeah, Looking for Sugar.
Looking
Man.
for Sugar.
Yeah.
I want my album to be all the way in Australia somewhere and come back. And I know he's like famous over there. Didn't even know it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it gets that kind of attention.
Have you? Is vinyl going to be like one of the next steps?
You know, I was told that I should put that album on vinyl,
Mhm.
and I think that would be it. And also, I'm doing more music videos for the songs. I'm getting ready to create another music video right now.
Detroit is different, listeners. Kari may be behind the rim. Kari partnered with Cousin Lumumba of a Thornetta video sometime.
I got plenty of songs now.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes. So don't be surprised if you see that in the catalog of something. We just got to come up with the theme. And I can definitely tell you, if I shoot a video, we will have Blackman make an appearance somewhere in the video.
There is a video that Thornetta did with the Blackman, and it's amazing. You know,
did you see his
Detroit.
music video?
Which one? I've seen.
God, what's the name of it?
Oh my goodness. I'm having a moment here. It is called. Well, if it comes up, y'all go ahead and talk. I'll just blurt it out.
So that's the creative process in writing. And what about for the I guess capturing just the live show? Do you see maybe like a live project in the works anytime soon, or?
Not at this moment.
Well, sorta.
Where?
We're going to try to put something together with Kim Wilson.
I'd love to record me and Kim Wilson, who's on the album, singing I Gotta Sing the Blues. And we're getting ready to go to do a blues cruise in January.
Okay.
So I would like to record us performing that song. He told me when we were in Denmark that he would sing with me on that song, because I've been trying to get him and me on the same stage doing that song live since the album's release. And he couldn't do it in Denmark. But he said, don't worry, I got you at the cruise. So I'm looking forward to perform with him. And James, I said, James, you're going to have to lead the stage and get this on camera.
Yeah, somehow, some way.
Because we don't have anybody coming with us with a camera.
We're going to get it done.
Okay. But actually, because I know sometimes that can be daunting. And I just know as a fan personally, it'd be great to capture your show live.
Well, you know, when I do another great big show, I'm calling you.
Okay.
'Cause I know you can do it.
Well, with that task, definitely we will make that happen. That's something that I will look forward to. And as we get to a close of this interview, definitely come out, join us as we continue this bar night and blues. And have some bourbon with us.
It was good too.
Oh yeah, it has some kick. It has some kick, you know, but you will be able to kick back and have some fun with Thornetta. I'm going to get into some classic Detroit is Different questions that I didn't get into last time for both of you guys. So, first classic Detroit is Different question. I'm going to go to Jam first, and then I'll come back to you, Thornetta. What was your very first car? And what was the year, make, and model, and what year did you get it?
Oh, man, that's a good question. Let me see here. My very first car. Now there was I'm gonna make a long story short. My very first car was a 65 Lincoln, suicide doors, 429. My father gave me. And my father, at the time, my mother and father had got divorced, and my father was moving. And he had just got a loan for another 65 Lincoln.
Oh, man, I know you're.
And he told me, you can have this car. It needed a water pump. And it needed a water pump. He told me, you can have this car until the finance company come to get it. So my cousin and I put a water pump on that car, and I drove it, and I parked it everywhere in the neighborhood just to keep them from finding it. And then one day I just run in the house for a minute to get something.
And it was on the tow truck.
Yeah, they was pulling it out.
It was what they call it, repo wars.
Yes.
How long did you have it?
I had it for I'd say about 3 months, but
that's a long time to be ducking.
Yeah, I was stuck in the Dyson, and I would drive it at night and all that. But
how old were you?
I was at that time. I was 16.
Oh man, you were the man in high school.
Oh man,
Everybody in high school was like, "Hey, give me a ride." No more bus.
This is during the days with deuce and the quarters and 9/8, and then here I pull up in a Lincoln, and
It was like,
no heat, but
every girl in high school was like,
and the cars that I would drive were hand me down cars. Of the car that I officially paid money for. I got from my brother, and I paid him a couple of $100.
Okay.
And I had to have a motor put in it.
That's a little bit more than a water pump.
Yeah, it was a '66 Wildcat, man.
I don't even know what a Wildcat. Who makes a Wildcat?
Buick was making Wildcats,
See,
man.
I don't even know what a Wildcat is.
That car sharp today.
Okay, let me ask you this: where was the first place you went in the Lincoln when you got it?
Oh, back to school. Got to ride around the school, man. Got to ride around
the school.
Yeah, a couple of times, till the heat.
Look at my car.
Till it overheats, Me and my boys, I parked it a lot,
You had it. That's all.
Just hanging out. Had guys hanging out of the car hollering at the girls.
Hey, that's that.
Get out my car.
Yeah.
Pure Detroit culture. Detroit culture right there.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you went to a White Castle on a Saturday night, that whole back row would be nothing but Lincolns and deuce and the quarters and everything. Everybody's just hanging out, hanging out.
Now that's something in Detroit culture I did not know people.
See, I told him he should do a movie.
It's car culture, man.
He's got like the black version of Stand By Me.
Oh, okay.
All the stories that I've heard him tell. I like Stand By Me was one of my favorite movies. But I hear the stories he tells. I see his people doing crazy stuff and.
Yeah, and one of my favorite stories is there was a guy I went to school with. His name Michael Parker, and his father and my father were friends. They worked together, and his father gave him a '66 Lincoln.
Wow.
And here I am. We pull up at the car wash. I'm washing. I say, "You washing your daddy's car?" He say, "No, I'm washing my car." "You washing your daddy's car?" I say, "No, this is my car."
Wow.
And we would just ride around and just us two, and Tam just showing off. We had a ball with it.
Same question for you. What was your very first car?
Ooh, my first car was a really old Nova that I paid $100 for. It had a hole under my foot, and when it rained, the water would come up in the floor.
Wow.
But I didn't have any transportation.
But you were rolling.
And I was rolling. I remember Wani being a little girl. "Mommy, when we gonna get a new car?"
Wow.
I said, "We're gonna get a new car one of these days, baby. I'm not sure when, but we're gonna get it. This one works for us now."
It was rolling. Where was the first place you went?
Oh, shoot. Taking Wani to school. I could take my daughter to school in the morning. And I took her to school every morning until she graduated from Martin Luther King High.
Yep, and definitely one of the smartest people I've ever met is your daughter.
Yes,
to this day.
Yes, she is.
To this day. So now the question goes to you: if you were the DJ at the end of the Detroit fireworks, and you get to play 3 songs, you're at Woodward and Jefferson. What 3 songs are you playing?
Wow, wish I had known.
Tough question.
That is a tough one. Fireworks. What am I listening to? Oh my gosh. I don't know. I mean, I like so much. All these songs are in my head.
3 songs? 3 songs, you
3.
say? Oh,
Yeah.
That's hard.
That's hard. I can't think of any right now. I can pull them up on my phone. Hold up.
Okay.
Say what? You got to check your playlist.
Yes, check my playlist.
What's up? I witnessed this thing once. I was at the fireworks one of the first times I went down to Hart Plaza to see the fireworks. the band Midnight Sky was playing. Dave McMurray, Dave Miles, a lot of great players in that band. Harry Bowens, and they were singing, and after the fireworks, just before the fireworks went off, they were going to do a Rick James song. He went yo ho, and then it went boom pow bam, and the timing was great, But afterwards,
I don't know. I think I sing one of mine.
yeah,
Okay, that's smart.
Get up and dance away your blues.
Okay.
I believe everything's gonna be all right.
Okay.
And ain't no stopping us now. Ain't mine, but I like that one.
I got you.
Yeah.
Ain't
Ain't no stopping us now.
So let's see. The situation is this: after the fireworks, we had Woodward and Jefferson, and it's a party's waiting to happen. So what I would do, I would start out with Good Life.
Oh yeah.
I would do Good Life, and I would go from Good Life to Eyes Don't Cry by Stevie Wonder.
Okay. So have people hustling.
That's a good one.
Yeah, get them out dancing, and then I guess I would close it with an extended mix of "Set Me Free" by Thornetta.
Okay.
There
There we go.
And that would put the calm in everybody, but it keeps the dance level up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now the last question goes to you. If you could rename Woodward after one Detroiter, who would it be and why?
Yeah, that until I can come up with somebody better other than Blackman, it would be John Conyers.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say John Conyers.
Okay.
And we were blessed to have, I would say, an audience with John Conyers dealing with the issues of musicians getting their money from licensing and things. And he was adamant about that,
Yes.
And he tried to bring change to that. And so for that, I would say not about the work he did during the riots and things like that. That was necessary, but just the fact that he realized the importance of a Detroit musician.
That's right.
And that they had a lot coming, And so that would be my thing. Nothing against Augustus Woodward. I don't know what he did, but John Conyers was for the people,
I think the history on Augustus Woodward was he was one of the first settlers of like the Michigan or the Detroit and the Michigan territory.
And he made governor before, yeah. And I guess he probably had Detroit. I heard it was something about he had it incorporated as opposed to it being owned by businesses. But maybe those days are still here. I don't know. Where's Augustus when you need him?
Very good point. Same question for you.
Who would I name Woodward after?
Yep.
I would say there's a million names that's worthy of that. But.
Oh, it is. It is.
Woodward. Coleman Young.
That is the most.
That's the one. Coleman Young.
Why for you?
Well, he was a great man for me. I remember when he was voted as the first Black mayor of the city of Detroit, and I believe that he had Detroit's best interests at heart. He had the Black people in Detroit's best interests at heart. He was a smart man. He was brass in the way he talked and acted, but I know he loved the city of Detroit with every fiber of his being. And Woodward is that main drag up and down the street, and I could just see that street being called Coleman Young Boulevard.
Okay. Definitely. Well, that concludes this interview version for you guys both. I see you all coming back maybe in about 2 years, and we'll be talking about when you guys were touring Africa and Asia.
The good old days.
It's coming.
Place.
Yeah.
You know, and how did the Africans take the blues?
That's right.
All
They
right.
say, welcome home.
Yeah, we'd be bringing it back to them.
That's right. We heard that before.
Yeah.
They'd be like, where y'all be?
You guys did a great job with our music. That's what they're going to say.
Definitely.
Well, thanks for having us, man, and all the best to you. And you're exactly what we need. I always talk about promotion and getting the music out and getting the words out and getting the knowledge out, because a lot of people don't have discussions on blues. They talk about hip hop and history of hip hop, but you got to go back deeper than that, you know.
And you know I love hip hop as like my favorite art form, but blues, the older I get, the more I'm connecting with it more. It fits differently. And I think that you need to search through. As one of my lifelong dreams has always been the same way. Like I really liked B.B. King in Cook County Jail. You know,
classic.
So it's still one of my dreams where I just got to talk to the right people. We're putting it out there. Where I want to get Thornetta at Wayne County. I want her to do something there. I think that would be interesting. Or
I'd love to go up in there and at least sing to the women.
And that is something that I think would be really cool to capture live. I know it can be done. It has been done in other places. I know we have a different type of system here in Michigan, and all the pushback, but the blues records connect on a personal level that, as much as I love hip hop, it's an expression of, it's almost like an expression of ego of where you want to go or if life will be better. Blues sometimes has like such a pulse of realness of where you're at that it's, you know, some of your songs, some Bobby Bland, it's like, man, this is like real. This is like real life. You feel as though you're living it. Sometimes if I listen to hip hop, it's like, okay, maybe I can get to this point if that I aspire to, but it's not as touching. It's not as substantive from like the grit of it. So those messages and that story, as you talk about it, tying to a story of our people, is really deep. And you find a good blues record, like you say, it's the root of so many other things. You know, some people, just because it's slower and a lot of white folks sing it, they may label it country.
They don't think it's blues anymore.
And they label it country.
But if you in hip hop, some of the subject matter is the blues.
Very much so. When it's real, when it's not as artificial, I think it's a
different music behind it, but the subject matter is still the blues.
When you're singing about lying and cheating and doing somebody wrong, you're singing the blues.
If you're singing about a bad condition and you want it to get better, that's the blues. Things don't get no better. Up the road I'm going.
But it's some great blues artists out here, and it's kind of cool that the culture exists in Detroit, at least. In a real direct way. You know, it's some people out here still slamming it. You know. You know, so, and you're definitely one of the, you know.
Well, I call her a blues ambassador.
Yes.
A Detroit blues ambassador. So.
Definitely. So, stay hyping it, stay playing it. You know, I'm going to stay loving it. And we'll see you guys again, definitely at the show. But here, Detroit is different, probably in about 2 more years again.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be some fun, man. Don't miss it.
Thank you.
When I hurt sometimes, he takes away that pain. I ain't lonely.
So hope to see you the night before Thanksgiving here in Detroit at the Detroit Distillery's Whiskey Factory.